All right. Are we good?
We're good.
We're rolling?
We're rolling.
All right. Here we go. Beautiful Starkville. It's where dreams are made of. We're excited. It's a big night. We're making the very short walk. We're at our little hotel, and you can see right there the entrance to beautiful Mississippi State University.
Yeah, I'll walk through this because that's all muddy over there anyway.
Oh, good. All right.
Yep, there we go.
Okay.
That felt great.
Yeah. Not the best. All right. Here we are. Kentucky, Mississippi State. It's a bounce back opportunity. Stephen, I'm here with Stephen Peake. He's behind the camera. He's going to share his thoughts as he sees fit. But this one's a tricky one, Stephen. I know we talked a lot about the matchup and just kind of where things went wrong down in Athens, and then you get a tougher, more physical, more athletic version of what we lost to pretty handily down in Athens. So, Stephen, what's on your mind? How are you feeling? I know you've been not the most optimistic person in the world as we've talked about this game this weekend. I'm playing on the road this year. Well, any year really, but playing on the road in the conference this year is just going to be tough. That's what worries me. You want to go this way? I kind of cut through. Is there There's a path right here.
Oh, you want to take the bridge?
Let's take the bridge.
Okay, all right.
Take the scenic route, if we're able to. So what were you saying?
Just concerned with the road, playing on the road. It's going to be a hostile environment. We already know you're probably not going to get a ton of calls. That's just the nature of it. And this is the one series where you miss John Calipari a little bit, right? Because he didn't lose to them ever. He lost to them one time, and it was in the SEC tournament. Went undefeated against Mississippi State at home. That's something that is kind of hard to believe because we've talked about it all day. They played in a lot of close games with Mississippi State. It feels like every time they come down here, they get down to, double digits, which, Jack, is something I would like to see not happen again. Is it possible that Kentucky's just due for a hot start finally?
Well, I was feeling good about a potential hot start until you, of all people, go figure. It doesn't shock me in the slightest. You were the one to find this out, but Mississippi State uses the Wilson Evo Next ball. And Kentucky, the last time and only time they have used... Oh, I like this. Look at this little bridge.
Oh, yeah.
This is fancy. The last time they used that ball, that dreaded, stupidly orange, bright ball, they shot 18.2% against Ohio State in Madison Square Garden. So there's kind of a push and pull with it, Stephen, where on one end, last year, if you will recall, when we were down here, none other than Reed Shepherd hit his game winner, dropped a career-high 32 points using the Wilson Evo Next NXT ball. So you kind of just say, okay, the last regular season win they've had using the ball came in this gym. Different team, different coach, we get that. But the vibes of the ball, at least, not good this season. The percentage differences are like 6% both directions, using the ball without it.
It's crazy. It's absolutely insane that we have to use a different ball depending on where you play, depending on what event you're playing in. And people who play basketball, you know that it makes a difference. I tried bringing that Wilson Evo ball to a Sunday night men's league, church league, and a couple guys dribbled it a few times, took a few shots, and they're like, what is this a street ball? Like, what is this, an outdoor ball? What is this? It's so different that there are statistical anomalies that I just can't get my head around. That is like, it drives me insane. Please, if the NCAA, anybody, if Nike, if you're listening, make a ball that's the exact same, put a swoosh over it. Or NCAA, make the Wilson ball. If you're in that contract, make it. We all have to use it. No other league in any world, anywhere in the world, if you're in a sports league, you're all probably using the same ball. except for college basketball.
So,
and that's the last I'll say about it. It won't be.
Yeah. No kidding. So Kentucky has lost its last 3 games using this ball. Ohio State, and then the 2 that we all kind of ended an era for us, Oakland and SEC tournament loss against Texas A&M, losing both postseason openers. And that's all she wrote for the John Calipari era. So speaking of which, just another pretty ugly loss for the good old folks down in Fayetteville. So not great over there. If you're keeping a close eye on that one, I'm sure you are. 0-3 in the last 3 games using the ball, but last season Kentucky was 3-1 with that ball. The only loss coming in the regular season down in College Station. So back and forth, but the game's not going to be about the stupid ball. It's a talking point, but not the talking point. The one that I want to kind of address is Andrew Carr. We got our first. So here's the deal: like this SEC availability report is a blessing and a curse. It's beautiful because like we get some semblance of transparency. It's fun to be able to like know who is dealing with something. Like if before, think of how many games we've had where guys have had bumps and bruises and dealt with their own things that they used to just play on bum ankles and say I'm fighting through injury. You would never even know about some of them. Some of them the coach would talk about afterward, like, hey, this guy just fought through, a hand injury and, he really, powered through it. You never knew going into it that he was even dealing with anything. Now, everything pops up on this injury report. So it makes the transparency good, but now everybody wants to know about, what Andrew Carr's dealing with, what Kobe Brea was dealing with down at Georgia. So it adds, some just new, we know the who and what always, but now we never know the why. They never explain why. So we get our first official update on Andrew Carr that we have not seen yet with this new SEC availability report, where he is a game time decision. So we are going to go into the arena today and for the very first time kind of get our first hey, how is he going through workouts? How is he looking? Is he looking the part of a guy who's going to go suit up against one of the toughest teams in the SEC? So a really big storyline as we're kind of walking over there right now. The report just dropped right before we left. So that one's a massive talking point. Did not give his best individual effort down in Athens against Georgia. Have no choice but to get something, positive out of him here, assuming he plays. If he does not play, Stephen, scary, I think is the best way to describe it. Pretty darn scary. What is your optimism with Andrew Carr and without Andrew Carr?
Just when he was about ready to get nasty,
damn,
we lose him.
I forgot that he said that. That was the first thing he said after the Georgia game. He said, we just got to get nastier. We got to get more, more physical and tougher. But he was just about ready to show off how nasty he was, Stephen. And now there's a chance that we don't even get to see that.
We don't even get to see Big Nasty tonight. And I think it'd be huge. I mean, the way that Mississippi State plays. Everybody, and it's clear too. This is the brand, and the fans have accepted it. Every fan that we talked to out here earlier, they talk about the physicality that Mississippi State likes to play with.
Dude, I wish we got I think we did get some of those quotes on camera, but it did fascinate me hearing those fans say, well, the way we play and how well we play is dependent on how the ref is calling the game.
Yeah, they did.
He said that, and I was like, oh, crap.
Yeah, we're screwed.
And I mean, I've seen a ton of Mississippi State this year, but hearing it from their perspective, coming off of the Georgia game, where it was such, just the physicality and the free throw differential and the, just how the game was officiated down in Athens, hearing that as one of the main talking points about hey, we kind of come and go depending on how the officials are calling the game. It's oh boy, it could go one.
Sounds like they're going to lose some road games.
One way or the other. Yeah, that's also a very good point.
And that's, if anything, if you don't have Andrew Carr and you get in foul trouble like you did down in Athens, the bench gets pretty thin at that 4 and 5 spot. Because I thought you might have to see some Andrew Carr playing the 5. because of the foul trouble down in Georgia. Mm-hmm. So if he's out, man, and Namari, he has to not foul. Brandon Garrison cannot get in foul trouble.
Yeah. You almost have to just get a perfect storm. Like, Kentucky has plenty of talent to beat Mississippi State.
But they're going to have to use all of it tonight, it feels like.
But when you're missing Kirk Risa, when Andrew Carr's beat up, when you're already kind of getting exposed with the physicality and the rebounding struggles and, all of those things, it does kind of become we got to get everybody's best shot to have a chance against a team as talented as this. Like, look, Mississippi State, their resume is unbelievable. 14-1 on the year, a ton of high-quality, high-major wins. 4-0 against Quad 1 competition, I believe, off the top of my head. They're 10-1, 8-1 in Quad 1 and Quad 2 matchups. So they're so good. Josh Hubbard is clearly a first-team All-SEC type of guy. We know him and know him all too well after dropping 34 points. In
a losing effort.
Superman for Mississippi State last year. Unfortunately, Reed Shepherd was his kryptonite. So,
fortunately for us,
he is going to be looking for his own revenge, and it does, we kind of got a good little preview of what that looks like with, two high-profile guards going head-to-head with Lamont Butler and Walter Clayton Jr. in the Florida matchup. So I am really interested to see kind of how that looks after getting, kind of the best version of both of those players in Lexington. What does that look like now on the road against another dynamic guard? Mark Pope singling out Matthews at the 4 spot for Mississippi State, calling him a kind of a unique version, similar to like a Draymond Green, if you will, Stephen. A really versatile, playmaking, leads the team in rebounds and assists. He leads the team in steals. Only averaging 8 points a game. You don't hear very often. I think he's the 6th leading scorer on Mississippi State. In Mark Pope, that was the second name that he brought up. Said, hey, Matthews at that 4 spot is a guy that we're really, really keeping a close eye on. Somebody that Cameron Matthews is somebody that is can do some real damage to us. And that head-to-head matchup, unfortunately, the second name on their list behind Josh Hubbard is Matthews.
Yeah.
Andrew Carr being our injured,
exactly.
Dealing with what he's dealing with.
That's what I was going to say.
That's a pretty unfortunate matchup issue that we're now dealing with. It could be a big Ainsley Almanor game.
I've never seen a crowd like this outside of Rupp, except for like Big Blue Madness and trying to think of the Mark Pope press conference. So they give are they selling they got a Rupp Arena ice cream up there or something?
Yeah, no kidding. So those are the 2 names to keep an eye on. Hubbard and Matthews is the 1 and 4, starting 1 and starting 4. Top 35, top 40-ish offensive rebounding team. As we are struggling, trying to figure ourselves out with rebounding, they are very, very solid at it. It's just a weird matchup, Stephen, and it's one that definitely, after seeing what we saw against Georgia, gives you pause about Kentucky's chances. But they are 2-0 in bounce-back games. We saw them lose at Clemson and respond with an unbelievable matchup against Gonzaga, flying out to Seattle and winning that one, and then bouncing back against after the Ohio State loss. They come back to. Fans are obviously very excited. They come back from the holidays, beat the crap out of Brown, and then have a really, really solid performance against Florida as well. So they have thrived in this environment, Stephen. Can they do it now away from home? Can they do it now in a hostile road environment? Seattle was one thing.
Which was kind of like playing back-to-back away games, which is what they haven't done technically all year because that was considered a neutral site.
And that took some heroics. That took an 18-point comeback, the biggest in program history, coming back from 16 at halftime. So that took, the slow starts that we talked about to start the show. We've seen them do it, but it hasn't been pretty. It's taken kind of a miracle performance to do that against Gonzaga. You can't afford that in this type of environment, this home venue. It's an 18-game winning streak that we're talking about that Kentucky has in the regular season, Stephen. Like, that is something that's a pretty substantial monkey on this program's back, where they're like, hey, we gotta figure this out. They have not won here in this matchup since 2008. Starkville has not won since Billy Gillespie was the head coach here, 2009 in the series in general. So that's a long, regular season streak that this fan base, we talked to a bunch beforehand, Stephen, that they are really, looking for this to be the year to kind of break that streak and get back on the right track. So
18, that's a lot.
18 games, 18-0.
We're kind of their basketball version of the Tennessee Florida streaks are to Kentucky football. Not quite as long, but in football a little bit different than basketball. And the one time that they did get Cal was in the SEC tournament during COVID. Dante Allen's three.
He tried so hard.
They're just now looks like they are letting people in. Doors are opening.
And you mentioned that when we talked to the fans earlier, 7 overtime periods when John Calipari was here. So it's not like it's been uncompetitive.
Easily could have been 8 last year.
It's been a really tough series that just has very fortunately favored Kentucky. How is that going to work out with the new era kind of getting the bad juju out of the way with Cal gone, starting fresh with Mark Pope? They see this as a fresh start for them as a program. We talked to a bunch of fans beforehand. As you're seeing, they're clearly invested in this one. They were giving out free hot chocolate. A couple of fans had been camping out since midnight, Stephen, so there's a lot of excitement.
They want this one.
To get this done. This is a big opportunity for them. How does Kentucky respond? How do they take that and say 2-0 in bounce-back games? We have to kind of, we got embarrassed. We got manhandled a little bit with physicality. We've gotten exposed on the glass, and we've, the bigger, tougher, more athletic teams have kind of bullied Kentucky a little bit. How do they respond to that type of adversity? Is kind of, they're viewed right now as, hey, we can find some flaws and kind of pick holes in Kentucky's game. How do they respond to kind of that, belittling and saying, hey, no, we're a tough group. Amari Williams has some fire. He's got some, some spunk to him too. Andrew Carr didn't have his best day against Georgia. Can he show off some toughness if he is able to go? Ansley Almanor has kind of been the, the spark plug, versatile, physical guy who comes in and give you a couple big energy plays, big defensive stops, go get a couple tough rebounds or something. So that could be a big matchup to keep an eye on him against Cameron Matthews. I'm interested to see that one because they kind of have similar playing styles in terms of, body styles and things like that. So it's a big one. This one is one that I think Kentucky, you lost the cushion that you established by losing against, in Athens. You get the win to start SEC play against Florida. You kind of build up some goodwill, lose all of that, and then some maybe against Georgia.
They're about where we thought they would be.
So this is a chance to kind of get back into the win column and rebuild that cushion in a game that they're not favored. They're 5.5 point spread right now. So,
and this is a good basketball team, but it does feel like, and I just had this feeling all day, that we're going to be really fortunate to leave here with the win. That just is how it's felt. Even though, like I said, I think Kentucky's good.
Especially with Andrew Carr in doubt.
And but if they can come out and shoot, over 40% from the field, seems to be the magic number. Maybe try to shoot better.
So 26% is the magic number
from three.
From three of Kentucky's losses this year. They've shot 26% or worse. Unfortunately, that 18.2% with that stupid ball is the one that we have our eyes on. But 26 is the number. They got to get to 30. They got to get to, just have a game where you don't need to shoot 60% from three, because that almost feels like fool's gold, right, Stephen? I want to see this team make shots at a solid rate, a clean rate. Get me to 40% on good efficiency, and I will take that. I almost want to see what this team looks like winning games where they make enough, then clearly don't have a bad day from the perimeter, but also find other ways to win and, come up with big defensive stops. Josh Hubbard is going to get his. How do you kind of navigate everybody else on the floor? And it's a really big test for them to, just kind of the reputation that Kentucky's slowly establishing as kind of a softer, weaker competition where, kind of make or break from three. If they're making a bunch of shots, they win. If they miss, they lose because they struggle so much elsewhere. It's a good kind of test to see what this team is made of in an unbelievable environment. So, Stephen, I'm very excited. I'm very excited to get in. I want to see what Andrew Carr looks like.
Yep,
I want to
let's go do
make sure that we can get that 4 spot such a pivotal matchup. We got to make sure that that Andrew Carr can play. So do we want to wrap this thing up with game prediction MVP?
Yeah. You want me to go first?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. With where Andrew Carr is right now, it's tough predicting a Kentucky win. So I'm gonna do something I don't think I've done this year. Outside of the Duke game, I think since Duke I've been saying Kentucky's probably gonna win these games. But I'm gonna go a 79-73 Mississippi State, and MVP for Kentucky. I want to see Jackson play like we know he can play, and that there could be positives to take from this even with a loss. It's very early in the season still. We're still in January. I wouldn't see a loss as being completely devastating. So 79-73 Mississippi State covers.
I believe in my official prediction with KSR I had 80-79. I'm going to stand by it. A victory for Kentucky.
All right.
I agree. I think Jackson Robinson is a big opportunity. We saw Reed Shepherd, kind of the cream rise to the top with that matchup, the head-to-head. We saw the best of Josh Hubbard. We saw the best of Reed Shepherd, who is going to be that complementary piece. I would want, Lamont Butler has been great. The head-to-head point guards, that's obviously one that and expect, and you feel like this is going to be a big Lamont Butler game, but it kind of has to be Jackson Robinson. He has been a guy who's been struggling with confidence, needing to kind of get something going, get something rolling. This is a great opportunity for him, a good head-to-head battle with a dynamic scoring guard on one end. It's a good chance for another dynamic scoring guard to kind of step up to the plate and kind of have his first big complete performance of the year. We got the amazing second half against Gonzaga. Can he put together a full 40 minutes? That's what I have my eyes on, and I'm expecting it to happen. So we're going to go inside. We're going to hopefully see Andrew Carr looking the part and root on what could be a monster victory, a 4th top 15 victory for the Kentucky Wildcats to start the year, a 4-0 start in those such matchups for Mark Pope. So we're going to get inside. We're going to root on the Cats and hopefully leave Starkville finally, after being here since Thursday. I'm ready to get the hell out of here. We're going to celebrate a big win afterwards. We'll see you then. Go Cats.